On behalf of the CASSS Board of Directors, it's my pleasure to introduce the recipient of the 12th Annual William Hancock Award. The Hancock Award recognizes outstanding and sustained contributions to the field of CMC Regulatory Science. Past recipients have been instrumental in enabling the availability of high-quality life-saving medicines derived from recombinant technology on a global basis. And it is a particularly special honor for me today to be able to give the award to Wassim Nashabeh. Wassim's work in CASSS, ICH, APEC, Bio, and beyond that, really, have significantly shaped the global regulatory landscape. Wassim is an expert member of the ICH, responsible for development of global guidelines for pharmaceuticals. He has also served as an expert working group member for ICH Q11, Q3D, and Q12. He served as a member of the ICH General Assembly on behalf of the Bio organization since 2017. Wassim was elected to the ICH Management Committee in 2018 and re-elected to a second term in 2021. And he served as a member of the ICH Industry Executive Council since 2018. In addition to all of that, Wassim has made significant contributions to APEC, has a variety of academic appointments, and is Vice President and Global Head of Regulatory Policy and International Operations at the Roche Group. And beyond what is a long and increasing list, because he's still working, of professional accomplishments, many of you in the CASSS community know Wassim personally. Wassim has served the CASSS organization as a past member of the board of directors, of which he was Vice President and President, and is a current CASSS Fellow. Wassim's name has become synonymous with our CMC strategy series of meetings, as he has played significant roles in the globalization of the CMC strategy forum, with expansions to Europe, Latin America, Japan, and China. And he's been coming to WCBP for as long as we can remember, but I will not put a date on that for you, Wassim. The sum of these accomplishments has been driving the biopharmaceutical industry to an inspiring vision of one submission, one approval for all patients worldwide. And while this is aspirational, might not be something we achieve in our careers, we have made significant progress towards this because of Wassim's work in ICH, APEC, CASSS, and beyond. And while I could just go on, read his CV, all of his accomplishments, I could stand up here all day, but I'd rather tell a quick personal story that really highlights the impact Wassim has made on CASSS and on me personally, and I'm sure as well as many on you. The true impact Wassim has had is in the people that he mentors, coaches, inspires, and collaborates with. I've known Wassim for a little over 20 years, I believe. I met Wassim, I was a regulatory associate at Genentech. I was literally underneath a table, plugging in a Polycom for an FDA teleconference, and I'm sure there's people in this room who don't even know what a Polycom is or why it needs to be plugged in. That was my first job in regulatory. And I took the minutes for the Avastin BLA meeting. I was told to write down every word. So you can imagine when Wassim started talking about specifications, I was like, oh my goodness. That's how I met Wassim. And from that moment until now, Wassim has been my teacher, mentor, friend. He's inspired and shaped my thinking, my career. He's supported me in almost every crazy idea that I've had. And he provides me feedback, and he's put effort into making me better. The thing is about Wassim is I'm not a unique story. There's many of us here in this room, online and beyond, who've had similar experiences. And it's in these experiences, in what has become an aligned collective vision, that has really advanced the biopharmaceutical industry forward. Wassim's contributions to CMC Regulatory Science, his vision, the lessons he has taught us, will continue to advance our thinking as a biopharmaceutical community and sustain us for years to come. Congratulations, Wassim, and thank you.
Thanks a lot, Julia, for this really kind remarks and this incredible honor. It's really quite. I usually find myself overwhelmed and short on words here in front of you. I stood here on this podium for years, actually giving the award, back when we established it, and not realizing it's actually much harder to receive it than to give it. So if you think about it from, I know Bill is not with us today, but the name of the award actually for me goes really a full circle, because Bill actually was the one I worked with very, very early on and brought me into the CASSS organization. And it's an interesting short story, but back in, I think was in 1998, so it's a little bit how long this has gone. I approached Bill about an idea back then in terms of starting a new conference for CASSS, more about how to really, on a new technology was capillary electrophoresis back in the days, rarely used in the industry. And the whole idea behind it, let's make a conference with a unique twist. The conference is all focused about how to make the technology work in industry. And CASSS at that time had a big CE conference. It's called HPCE, but it's predominantly academic. And I can tell you, most members of the committee, because I used to attend it as a graduate student, thinking of robustness and troubleshooting and validating and making a method work day in and day out and be able to run it in a lab, with an entry-level analyst and always expect to get the same result. It wasn't really on their priority. It wasn't something that you can really get traction on and get a topic going through. And at that time when I talked to Bill, it sounded like a good idea. And what was so unique about CASSS back in the days, and I think remains truly today, with all of your help, I was just a few years off graduate school. I didn't organize any meeting. I didn't have no experience in any of this. It was an idea that sounded good and a volunteer that's willing to take the idea forward. And Bill said, oh, let's give it a try. And less than a year later, we had the first CE in the biotech and pharma industry in 1999 in San Francisco. It's the first time when I met you, Mark, if you recall. And we get, I think, 70, 80 people, like-minded people who are passionate about the technology, came together, share their ideas, their lessons learned, their troubleshooting tips, what they're seeing here. We brought in the vendors, we had regulators, and that was the birth of this whole idea of what can we collectively do to bring innovation from an academic setting into making it really work in our environment. Because at the end of the day, if we cannot get the same number in and out for when we analyze something, that technology will never see the light of the day. It will never be of any use and will never achieve its potential. And that whole concept then, I think, spun off a whole series of CASSS events like the mass spec meeting, the bioassays, and so on, whereby you're really focusing about how technology can serve the need of these products and how we can get better at characterize them and understanding, how best to control them. I think it's that same spirit of us here as volunteers having an open mind and being really, truly free-spirited that also propelled the CMC Forum on a global basis. If you recall back, the first CMC Forum was in 2002 in the US. And it's all about people having an open mind and really vetting ideas, no bias, no preconceived notions, just put things out there and let's see how science can take things forward. And that concept, which is so simple, and having the open dialogue and discussions actually survived across continents, across cultures and norms. It went to Europe, went to Japan, went to LATAM. We had a couple already events in China, and hopefully we'll have more in And everybody said, oh, it's not going to work the same way here or there. But at the end of the day, we're all, as humans, have the same interest at the end. And I think for us here as a CASSS community, if I reflect back over the years, I mean, what we want is really simple. It's, I sum it down, maybe we had two aspirations, or you call it desires or so. The first one is we want science-based regulations, because if we have, that's the only way innovation can strive. So we want the regulatory system to be able to support innovation, and rather than hinder it. And I think this is an area where we've seen over the years quite a lot of progress, I mean, both in terms of the modalities of the medicines we have and also how they are made, controlled, and so on. And the second inspiration, which is on paper sounds very simple, is we just want the same regulations to be the same everywhere and implemented the same way. I mean, that's you can boil down everything we're doing here over the last 30 years to these two simple concepts. That second one was really much harder to get to. And I have to say it took years and years, and the progress was slower than we all desire. And if you talk to everybody thinks it makes sense. This is the right thing to do in terms of like, why would you want to have it? Imagine if we all flew from somewhere coming here. Imagine if in the aviation industry, if every airport and every country have their own terminology and standards and different ways of how you move planes, no? Where would we land? Where would we get? And what we do here is equally, even more important. I mean, when you make medicine, we make the same medicine the same way for every patient in the world. So why should, why that medicine have to go through so many different specs and controls that at the end of the day does not necessarily contribute to a better quality of it is. And this is really where, the journey continues. And at the end, it took a pandemic for things to turn around. I mean, it's, fortunately or unfortunately, I think as we went through the pandemic and each of us, all of us became a patient one way or the other, and every country, and everybody realized no single country, no single company can do this alone. We cannot essentially get billions of doses of therapies and vaccines to the world if we don't work together. And all of a sudden, so many initiatives got kicked in, under the ICMR leadership. We now have so much more interactions, collaborations, pilots, things that are really, putting a lot of hope in that vision of actually getting to a point where we drive that harmonization on a global basis. And then hopefully we would really continue to strive, in that direction. I just have to say this has been a really long and quite a fulfilling journey for me. I mean, when I came to the US as a graduate student to study analytical chemistry, I never thought I'll end up with a job in policy. I didn't even know what that thing mean. No, it's like, what is that? What do? You just talk the whole day, and looking at the young generation here, if somebody asks you what do you want to be 10 years from now, do you really know? Actually, it's maybe limiting to have a plan. It's better to have to be open-minded, know really what you're good at, what makes you unique, and then to convert your uniqueness to an opportunity that drives value. Because at the end of the day, you have to go with the flow, and you have to go with your own passion, not what people tell you are good or not good at. Just follow your own heart and your own passion. I'm very, very thankful, first I think for the US, for this country, where I came in as a student, then a resident, then a citizen. I think the country embraced me and welcomed me, and I can tell you, I don't think there's any place else on earth I would have been able to do what I've done here. So quite a lot of thanks. This is a great place. I also want to really thank Genentech, actually, which is, I joined in '96 and never looked back. It's been now, almost 28 years. I don't think there are, at least, I have been around, so I cannot judge other things, but there aren't so many places where you can just do whatever the heck you want to do, and you don't bother with anything else. I mean, it's essentially no bureaucracy, no paperwork, none of this management crap, and so on. It's just basically you are yourself, and you're in a place that you are so supported, and where your passion can drive what you want. And I'm really thankful for Genentech to actually allow me to do this for all these years. I think this CASSS community that we grew together here for at least 30 years or so has been so amazing, and has been so part of the journey, that we are in, and we made so many friends, over the years. And truly, also thanks to my lifelong partner here, my wife, Stacy, that we almost like being also in the same field, kind of, we grew with this whole thing. It's really in a unique way. So thanks for all the support. I think our, as Julia said it, our aspiration of one word, one product, one standard, for all patients worldwide, there's still a lot of work to do. And I think as my generation slowly but surely fades away in the background, I look at, at you who are coming here maybe for the first time, or, starting new in your career. I really think you came to the right place. You were in the right place, to pursue your passion, to make meaningful contributions on which one day in the distance you look back at, with pride and gratitude. Thanks a lot for your trust. Thanks for your friendship. And thanks for putting up for me for all these years.